Greetings, YouTube. I was just watching a video on the What Culture channel dealing with the unintended consequences of films. Like, when the film is over, what happens after? They gave an example of Ready Player One. I keep wanting to say real, I apologize. Ready Player One, when they shut down the entire Oasis 2 days a week, so people have to interact with the real world. Problem, lots of people can't interact with the real world for financial reasons, for physical reasons, for mental reasons. And the Oasis is their connection to their friends, to their livelihoods. So shutting that down 2 days a week is going to destroy people. It's going to cost people their financial existence. It may kill people. So there are ramifications from doing that. Maybe talk to experts and find a way of tuning things down slightly without shutting off people's lifelines or ability to make enough money. But what I want to talk about is my favorite unintended consequence. And this is based on the film. I have not read the book, so I cannot tell you what the ramifications of the book are, just what the film is. And that film is one of my favorite science fiction films from the 70s, which is Logan's Run. Now, Logan's Run is a dystopian future. You are essentially born into this society as a nameless baby raised in a brood. You have no parents. You're allowed to run wild as teenagers. And then they civilize you a bit, became a functional member of society. You live comfortably without any kind of effort until you're 30, and then you die. They don't call it that. They call it renewal. And Logan, and I forget his female associate's name, and I apologize. The two of them get out of their dome city, find the real world, find Peter Houstonov out there living in the aftermath of the global catastrophe that drove everyone into the domes. I don't remember what the particular global catastrophe was. It doesn't matter. But he's living in the shell of Washington, D.C. He is the child of two other people who had escaped the dome at an earlier time. And he's alone, utterly alone. He hasn't seen other people in years. And then they let everyone out. And in the process of letting everyone out, they destroy the dome. So the dome city, with all of its technology and all of its infrastructure, is destroyed. All the people have to flee out into a world that most of them didn't even know existed, to a place that has zero infrastructure. None. What did they do? They got one old guy who seems to understand how to keep himself alive, but he doesn't know how to feed and house thousands of people, let alone making sure that they have health care, making sure they are properly educated. Nothing. You've just thrown thousands of people out into the literal wilderness. And I guarantee you, within a month, they'll be eating each other. It's going to become so much worse than what was inside the dome. Now, I can understand cracking open the stranglehold that those in power in the dome had over the lives of those that lived in the dome. Okay? I can completely see that. Breaking it out, opening up the outside world, telling people the outside world exists, and then letting people who want to see the outside world go to the outside world. In the process, you keep everything inside the dome humming along. Over time, more and more people will go out into the world, and the dome will become this cultural center. It'll become the university. It'll become maybe the retirement home. Who knows? But it will become the hub of the community of those that go out into the world. Some will come back. Some will go, cyclic, and who knows? But many will go out there and never return. They'll go out into the wide world, discover what's out there, restart the world as we know it, see what infrastructure is left over that they can reuse or repurpose, what have you. Maybe find other communities, other people, what have you. But just throwing them out into the wilderness, that's a death sentence for thousands of people. And it was never talked about in the film. And I didn't notice it as a kid. It wasn't only until an adult I watched it with my wife, and I'm like, What what happens to all these people? Yeah, they're outside. Again, most didn't know the outside existed, and now they're gonna do what? They have no shelter, no food, no medical care, nothing. What happens? It's horrible, and nobody ever seems to talk about it. I've never heard anyone discuss the ramifications of the ending of the film Logan's Run. If there's anybody out there on YouTube or someone else, you have an article somewhere that somebody knows about, please drop me a link. I want to know about it. So yeah, I'm going to, if I remember correctly, remember, save this link so you can go watch the What Culture video that inspired this video, because maybe you'll find it interesting. Maybe it'll be an inspiration for you to come up with an idea. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the ramifications of Logan Run, as well as the ramifications of any other films that have always bugged you, that nobody ever seems to take responsibility or details out and says this is how it actually works. And it's not really as bad as we think it is, because a lot of the time these outcomes, they look horrible.